Wall construction on the southern border, guess what? It's now underway. According to a report, Washington Examiner, look at this. Miles of desperately needed brand new steel barriers are under construction all along the Rio Grande Valley. This portion of the wall was funded with federal money previously negotiated by the Trump administration. Nobody seems to report that. We've also repaired a lot of the bad walls that were out there, and there is new construction. Now, meanwhile, this garbage deal that I've been telling you about out of Washington, which allocates a measly additional $1.375 billion for wall construction, well, that has not yet been signed by the president. As a matter of fact, nobody in the White House has seen any language in the bill. None. So let's be frank. It's not nearly enough money. Washington lawmakers, the swamp creatures, they have once again let we, the people, the American people, down. This is a swamp compromise. Now, let me make some predictions. Based on what the president is saying publicly, because I love the press, they love to speculate. How did Hannity get his information? All right. We know this is a president that keeps his promises, and he goes at the speed of Trump. And if you watch every speech, if you actually listen to Donald Trump's words, you know, especially you people in the hate Trump media, you psychos, he telegraphs, he's saying exactly what he's planning to do. You're too stupid to listen. Watch this.
So much crime comes in through our southern border. Illegal immigration provides a lucrative cash flow, to put it mildly lucrative, to some of the most dangerous criminal organizations on the planet. These deadly cartels flood our cities with narcotics that kill thousands of our citizens, ruin families. They use fear, intimidation, and violence to get their way. There's only one moral course of action: to put these ruthless criminal cartels out of business, and out of business fast. I will never waver from my sacred duty to defend this nation and its people. We will get the job done.
All right. He's saying he's going to get the job done. Let me make a prediction. Let's base it on what you just heard and what we've witnessed the last 2 years. The president's going to find the way to get the money. Now, look at this bill, $1.375 billion. Not enough, but it will keep the ball in the project moving along, assuming, we haven't seen the language, there's no poison pill or restrictions in there thrown in by a swamp creature in the last minute that says you can't build a wall with the money. That happens. I don't think the president will sign that bill. In that case, he would probably move to a short-term CR, and the Congress creatures will go back to do the crappy work that they usually do, and then if they get it right, he'll sign that bill. But let's assume that they get it right. That, in other words, he gets $1.375 billion for the wall now. Well, that prevents a government shutdown. That's a good thing. But in order to meet our borders and our security needs, the president has stated publicly, not just to Sean Hannity, that he will also tap into hundreds of millions, at least $900 million, but I'm told the number is much higher, other discretionary funds that he can direct that money directly to the wall, which then brings us to $2 or $3 billion, again, in the interim. And it sounds like what he's saying is he's going to simultaneously declare a national emergency to free up billions more. Now, the hate Trump media, if that happens, they're going to feign moral indignation, outrage, hysteria will break out. Meanwhile, they'll say, how did Hannity know? Well, because I've listened to him, and he's telling you the entire time what he's going to do. Donald Trump, quote, I will add whatever I have to add to build the wall. President tweeting, I am getting almost $23 billion for border security. Now, that money, the $23 billion he's talking about, that can be spent on everything else but the wall. But if he declares a national emergency or uses the law, which we've been citing on this program, U.S. Code 284, well, we know what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to immediately run to the courts. They'll go judge shopping. They'll find a liberal activist judge somewhere in California or anywhere in the Ninth Circuit. They will lose. The president will lose the first round, go to the Ninth Circuit. He'll lose the second round. But in the interim, he still gets $1.375 billion. So he continues the project, and the other funds continues the project. And I believe when it gets to the Supreme Court, he's going to win. And this Supreme Court's going to have to take this case, considering, let's see, it's a constitutional question about his role as commander-in-chief. It's about separation of powers. It's about national security. And just a side note, all of you in the media, I don't know why, everyone's been obsessed. Hannity's predicting this. That's what I'm predicting is going to happen, because I actually listen to the publicly stated words of the president. So keep speculating. Nobody in the media has any idea of who my sources are, who they're not, and who I talk to, who I don't talk to, and I will not reveal my sources. And all these hate Trump media outlets, they all pretend they're unbiased, that they're journalists. Well, I don't claim to be a journalist. We do journalism. What we say about being a talk show host, we're like the whole newspaper. Now, we do straight news when there's a war, straight news on weather, straight news on important, incidences that are happening, like Ferguson when that was happening, or Baltimore. And then we give a lot of opinion. So we're the news page, the editorial page, the opinion page. We even do gossip and sports. Like tonight, for example, Tim Tebow's on. So we're like the whole newspaper. That's what we do, freedom of the press. But we identify what we do. Now, we do our own research, like we did with vetting Obama, like we do on the deep state. We do investigations. We bring you news and information you won't hear or see anywhere else, and opinion you won't get anywhere else. But all these hate Trump news people that claim to be journalists, no, they're really editorial writers and ones that make up a lot of BS at the same time. So tonight, when it comes to building the wall, whatever has to be done, the president is saying will be done. Not for political reasons, but for the safety and the security of all Americans. He sees this, rightly so, as a life and death issue, but don't just take my word for it. Maybe some of the people on these fake news channels, maybe they should start speaking to angel moms and dads. Maybe a woman like Maureen Maloney, her son Matthew, killed by a drunk driving illegal immigrant from Ecuador. You got that, Senator Menendez? He was upset that illegal immigrants could actually be classified as criminals if they get caught drunk driving. And yesterday, Maloney urged President Trump to hold strong in this fight for the border wall. Now, sadly, she is among thousands of our fellow Americans whose lives have been ripped apart, permanent separation, by violent criminals because we have open borders that have entered this country illegally. In the past 2 years alone, ICE arresting illegal immigrants who are accused or convicted of 4,000 murder, homicide charges, carnage from illegal drugs. 90% of the heroin crossing that southern border is even worse. Every single week, 300 Americans are dying from heroin overdoses, almost all of which trafficked across that border. Now, that's why Americans are overwhelmingly backing up the president and his plan to secure the border. Brand new Fox polls, 66% of Americans approve of the president's efforts. You Republicans in the House and Senate, you may just want to follow his lead. Good politics. According to Gallup, the president's overall poll numbers are up a whopping 7 points since the government shutdown. He hit his highest number, 52%, on the Rasmussen poll. Earlier this week, he filled an arena in El Paso, Texas. Look at that. And, oh, that's inside the arena. Am I correct? Yes. Then he had thousands and thousands of others outside the arena. Nobody in the media talks about this. What other president got those types of crowds? Now, some on the left, they try and pretend the president has no support at all. I've never seen a president with more support. Look at late-night loser, Stephen Colbert himself, just last week. Watch this.
Trump's inaugural committee raised a record $107 million, which was double the previous record set by Barack Obama. What was all that money for? I mean, obviously, they didn't need it for crowd control.
Yeah, let's show the picture before the inauguration ever took place. Don't worry, your audience is stupid enough that they'll probably believe your crap. Maybe Colbert needs to attend a Trump rally. Maybe he will see the unbelievable enthusiasm, people standing for hours and hours and hours outside in the cold and the rain, and then standing for the entire time the president's speaking, supporting his agenda. Which brings us tonight to our Hannity Watch on what is the radical socialist takeover of the Democratic Party. Now, the president is promoting freedom, low taxes, national security, and strength. Uninformed socialist extremists, they're now steering the ship at the DNC in a pretty big way, in a kind of scary way. Now look at freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who says the world's going to end in 12 years, is now leading the way. She is the chief spokesman, leader for the Democratic Party. And as some background, look at the new leader of the left. Take a look.
Medicare for all would save the American people a very large amount of money. Why aren't we incorporating the cost of all the funeral expenses of those who die because they can't afford access to health care? But when it comes to tax cuts for billionaires and when it comes to unlimited war, we seem to be able to invent that money very easily. We look at these figures and we say, oh, unemployment is low, everything is fine, right? Well, unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs. We need to occupy every airport. We need to occupy every border. We need to occupy every ICE office. If we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House.
You used the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
I think what I meant is like the settlement. Just last year, we gave the military a $700 billion budget increase, which they didn't even ask for. And we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is, your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? No, I think it is a green dream. And I think that it is. You know, I don't consider that to be a dismissive term. I think it's a great term.
I guess it's no surprise that Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal has now become a nationwide laughingstock, except for the fact Democrats are really serious about this insane piece of legislation. Take it seriously. 2020 presidential hopefuls are literally tripping over each other to support the Green New Deal. Make no mistakes. Democrats want to radically reshape this country into a little socialist eco-utopia that will promise everything and deliver nothing but catastrophe and poverty. And if you're wondering what a socialist utopia looks like, well, this new Green Deal, no more oil, no more natural gas, no more nuclear, no more airplanes, no more gas-powered cars, no more gas-powered ovens, no more cows because of flatulence. Government promise, paid leave, medical leave, paid vacation. Oh, now they wrecked high school and K through 12, so now they're going to wreck college. Education free for all, healthy food for all, government-forced renovation of every building in America in the name of energy efficiency. Government paid for high-speed rail connecting every city in America. We won't have airplanes, so I guess we'll have high-speed trains to Australia and Asia and Europe. And they're going to guarantee income to every single person, even those unwilling to work. Wow. And a retirement plan. But believe it or not, there's even more madness. Now, we'd be here all night if I listed it all, so look at the side of your screen. And here's the kicker. The Green New Deal is calling for this to happen in 10 years, and the world is going to be over in 12 years, according to Ocasio-Cortez, if we don't act. On Twitter today, she said passing the Green New Deal is a life or death issue. Well, in a way, she's right, because if this ever happens in this country, the American dream that has created more wealth, more prosperity than any other country on the face of this earth, it's over. Government will take over every single industry, the healthcare industry, no private healthcare, the energy industry. They will give you that cradle to grave, womb to tomb promise. They'll tell you what car you can drive, where you can travel, what you can eat, and even how you cook it. And more notably, in order to try and pay for that insanity, mother government, well, they'll own your paycheck. From each according to their ability, to each according to their needs. Right, Congresswoman? And I know you watch the show. And let's not forget about those who would be impacted first. Airlines, 700,000 employees, goodbye. Over 10 million people owe their jobs to oil and the gas industry. See ya. Millions more serve in roles related to those 2 major industries. Promoting this stupid deal, Democrats They're actively calling for tens of millions of Americans to lose high-paying jobs, and it's only going to get bigger. We have 2 pipelines on the line, and we opened Anwar. We're the #1 world producer, surpassing Saudi Arabia and Russia for the first time in 70 years. And all the high-paying career jobs that will be available for people. Look at this Fox News poll. 25% of Americans have a favorable view of socialism. It promises everything and never delivers historically a thing. And another freshman Democratic lawmaker is making news for also all the wrong reasons, and that's Congresswoman Omar, embroiled in a serious controversy over her constant stream of hatred and anti-Semitic remarks. And she has since issued an apology on one of the remarks, but her bad behavior on Capitol Hill is not going away. Look at this from earlier today, a hearing with the administration's new special envoy for Venezuela, Elliot Abrams. Watch this, doozy.
I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I could respond to that.
It wasn't a question. That was not a question. That was I reserve the right to my time. Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
yes or no?
No.
I will take that as a yes.
No, I'll take it as a yes. And as of today, yeah, that extremist holds all of our very important committee assignments. So let's recap the week for Democrats. One member of Congress spreading an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory about Jewish money. Bozo O'Rourke said that walls kill people. 3 top Democrats in Virginia refusing to resign, 2 over blackface controversies, 1 over, rape allegations and sexual assault. Multiple top Democrats supporting a bill that would turn America into a socialist disaster eco-state. Multiple 2020 candidates for the Democrats calling for tax increases and government stealing. One still apologizing for faking her ethnicity. Spartacus himself, well, he's calling for an end to all meat consumption. What a week to think the race is just getting started. Well, full coverage on all of this later. First, we turn Hannity watch on the deep state. Now, while we sound the alarm, Democrats are suspiciously silent on the increasing evidence of corruption, abuse of power inside the FBI and the Justice Department, like the alleged quid pro quo agreement between the FBI, the Clinton State Department. We have new documents obtained by Judicial Watch. The top FBI brass, including Lisa Page, who was, well, with Peter Strzok, they're scrambling in the run-up to the 2016 election about evidence of an offer from a Clinton ally, ex-State Department official Patrick Hannity, to have the Bureau reduce the classification that they found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. A Clinton email in exchange will boost FBI personnel abroad. But just change the classification so she doesn't have to go to jail. We'll have a report coming up later in the show.